and welcome to A Cup of Tea. This is our first episode, and we hope you like it. I am Water.
And I'm the Pine.
And on today's Cup of Tea, we're going to talk about what it has been like for us to begin a new project like this podcast and a YouTube channel.
Wait, we didn't tell them what we were drinking.
Oh, right, we didn't. Okay, so we're going to do this thing where each episode, because this is a cup of tea, we're going to tell you that we're drinking tea.
It makes sense.
So, we're both drinking the same tea today.
Yeah, I was going to say, so today's tea is sponsored by The Water, who made it for us for breakfast. And what are we drinking?
Chai. Regular masala chai.
Because it's what I asked for.
Yes.
And it's very yummy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, now we may proceed.
So, yeah. So it's been, okay. I think we should give some context to
Our projects?
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
for you, the listener, so that you know what we're talking about.
right. Because it is the first episode. I think, well, it was a couple months ago, maybe something like that I was like,
Yeah.
I came to The Water. And I told her about doing a YouTube channel. And it's been a process, very much so. But you know what I like about it? It sort of sparked our creativity, you know? That's something that I'm very happy that it's happened, you know?
Yeah, me too. And I think that there's like for a while, I had been wanting to do a project, like had been wanting to start something. And I had been thinking about like a short film or a podcast, like what I told you that the podcast thing had come up with again and again, and again and again. And I hadn't actually followed through with it for one thing or another. And so when you told me this, which is something that we had sort of talked about before,
yeah.
Right?
But that one totally like didn't even like, you know, sort of get off the ground. It was just like
just one conversation,
and that was it.
So I think it was the right moment, you know, like the right thing at the right time kind of situation. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty cool that we were on the same page about it. Mm-hmm. And I have come to realize that thing, that being on the same page thing about some idea or project or whatever, is really hard to come by.
How did you come to this conclusion?
The thing is, because I have been wanting to do these projects, right? So, like, the short film thing, I had my script and I went to this guy who could be my cinematographer, and he really liked it, but then he was like, I don't know if I have, you know, the time or the resources that you might want for this. And I said, I get what you're saying. And I also think that for me, I think there's more work to be done with this script. I don't think that it's ready.
But that's not so much about being on the same page as like what I thought you meant.
What do you think I meant?
I took it more of, you know, like creativity wise, like what we want to do wise. Because here it's more of a, people are busy, people may not want to be invested.
Yeah.
May not be
that
as invested. So I get that. And I do think that one of our greatest advantages is that we tend to be a lot in the same page. Yeah. When it comes to these sort of things.
I mean, yeah. And that's also the thing that when I think the other one time I've been on that sort of same page thing was with the last year of school short film project, where the director and I were so much like in sync.
Same vision.
Yeah, same vision, same feeling about the project, you know, and so it worked out very well. Like, I mean, if we look back at it now, we're both like, oh my God. Right? But at the time, that was like the feeling. And in this case, it was sort of the same thing. And it was like, I am willing, I want to do it. I have the time and energy, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this work. Mm-hmm. And I think you are on the same page about that. Like that's what I kind of meant. The investment and the spirit that you have about it.
How did you, cause you know, for example, when I first sort of had the idea, it took me, like I had the idea and I do this thing where I like let it sit in my mind, and it kind of, until it becomes a thing. Mm-hmm. But then it runs the risk of dying.
Wilting?
Yeah. But my point, like, that's not where I was going. That's like a separate conversation. More to, well, where I was going is that once I had the idea and I mulled it over and stuff, and I talked to my boyfriend about it, and he was into it, and he was like, yeah, we can make this happen. Mm-hmm. But to him, I think it's pretty much like, he sees it as my idea. And once I talk to you, I think, like, my question is, like, how did you come to sort of adopt it and like, be invested? Because I feel like since I told you about it, you were very invested in the project, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, like, what made you sort of be so into it, I guess?
That thing of like, I had been wanting to do something for a while, and it, because
it's about like producing it, making it happen.
Yeah, like, okay, because I had been thinking, you know, it's been a while. I've been working on the freelancing stuff. Like, okay, so for the people out there, you know, since graduating college, I started doing freelance work as a designer and as a video editor, and that as a video producer sometimes. And that was cool.
Right.
But that was not what I wanted to do. That has never been the thing that I want to do. I've always wanted to do like my own projects and my own thing. And so while waiting for studying film, I was thinking about these things. So like, what can I do? What's a project that I can do that's like mine? And it's like, I know that film stuff and like, you know, for short films or even feature length films, are like single projects. Mm-hmm. And I had this idea also of doing something more long-termish, like a TV show, or like, I mean, not start producing it right away, but like start writing and maybe planning it and that kind of thing. And so also I had this experience of starting a YouTube channel with a friend, mm-hmm. which we really liked, and it started working, but then we couldn't continue because he moved away, mm-hmm. and I also went away, and so that sort of died there. Yeah. And I had always liked this idea of producing content for YouTube because I think it's a cool platform that I like, and there's so many ways of doing it. So
that's what she said. Go on.
Jesus. You're going to put us in a YouTube category where nobody's going to find us.
I hope not, but I was drinking my tea and I thought it. I was like, oh shit, gotta finish. That's what she said.
All right. So yeah. So I thought okay, what can I do that is like my own project that fits into these categories of creative, challenging, because it is quite challenging.
I am finding that out.
But a creative outlet that has a bit of a personal experience tint to it, you know, because my first idea was to do a podcast with my cousin. Mm-hmm. And that idea wilted away. Right?
As ideas do.
Yeah. And so that thing that I had been thinking about when you came to me and you said, you know, I want to do this channel for YouTube and whatever, I was like, okay, I can totally do that. That can totally be a thing, because you said like to be your producer, which I was really excited about. And now that producing is not my thing. Like if I got to choose a role in a production, it would not be a producer.
But I feel like you're good at it.
Yeah, that's the thing, that I'm good at it, so it works out. I guess, I think I could do a better job though.
I mean, it's a learning experience. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, I thought, okay, I know how to do this. I know at least how to start. I really like the project.
Right.
And I do know that it started as this thing that, like, it's your thing and I'm joining the team. Mm-hmm. And I think it morphed into, now we are doing a thing when it's not just, the Pockets YouTube channel, because it's also this, and it's also like other ideas that we're starting to think about and that are also pretty exciting. And so, yeah, I think that's sort of how it went.
Yeah. I had like 2 ideas in my head, and I was like gonna bring them up before they went away. They kind of did. But one of them, I think, was how this sort of, okay. It's like, how it starts pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. Whenever you have an idea, it's like that in a relationship. It's like the honeymoon stage of our relationship, and you're excited and like, it's alive inside of you. And then I feel like we've been good at making Pockets happen little by little. Taking as long as we need and figuring out things as we go along. But a little bit ago, I felt, I don't know if you did, but I felt like we came to like I don't know what to call it, like
there was a bump.
In my mind, it's something like down rather than something up. You know what I mean?
Like butthole. Kind of.
Yeah, like a butthole. Yes. And I think it was, okay, it's coming back to me. I think it was overwhelming. Feeling overwhelmed about, I don't know, I guess at the beginning when you have the idea, you don't quite, or at least, I don't know if it's a difference because I'm not in that environment that you are within like the whole film thing. So in my mind, I don't know the whole process of it and like everything that it entails.
Yeah.
So right now I'm finding it out, and plus there's like a bunch of stuff happening in my life, and I guess it became overwhelming at some point, and I wasn't seeing, like, we were filming stuff, but like I guess the editing and making, like, getting it there to the finish line, to the posting it, uploading it, putting it out in the world.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. So I felt like we were doing a lot, but not quite getting it done. And I think, I don't know if it was last time we went out, maybe, not the last time we went out for breakfast / lunch.
Brunch?
Yeah, it wasn't, because we had breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
But when we went out for tea, and I think you agreed with me that it felt a little bit like we weren't quite doing stuff or like getting it done or something. But I do feel like because we talked about it, I felt a little bit of like a restart. Like we're getting back on the horse kind of thing.
I get what you're saying. And I do feel the overwhelming thing for me hasn't been the same stuff that it has been for you. Like, because of that thing you said, that I already kind of know what the whole thing is like. For me, it's been more on the other side of like, we're not, I want to be producing 1 episode a week, and we don't have that content. No. Like we haven't planned for that. We have planned for that, but because we have to schedule people and to record it, then when are we doing that? And that lack of organization maybe, and of of like having a clear calendar.
Right. We don't yet have that. We have it's like the next thing happening, the next episode. But we don't have something after that.
Yeah, and so part of me is like, okay, let's take it one day at a time and work on what we have, because we already have a lot of stuff, I think. I mean, we have plenty to start with. But, you know, there's all these things to consider that I kind of don't want to get into, because I think that's more like what you're doing. And I don't want to, how YouTube works and when to upload and what's the strategy and all that stuff. And it's not that I don't know about it. It's more like, I don't want to have to do it, because I want the work that we're doing to be more like the same, so that neither of us is overwhelmed.
Right. Overworked.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Plus, I enjoy, looking at the whole YouTube aspect of it.
Yeah. See? We're a great team.
We are.
Which is part of the thing that I liked and how I got invested into it, because I was like, okay, I think it's different to start something like this with somebody that you know-ish, you know, and that you might be friends with. I kind of think about it like those school projects that become an actual company, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Which is...
What?
I have this in my mind, sort of like, this can be such a big and great thing.
Yeah.
And it's about, I think that's a great thing, taking it one day at a time. Because otherwise, I think if you focus too much on the future, you can get lost. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit of a balance, I feel, like in my own sort of mind space. It's a bit of a balance between seeing like the goal, or like having faith in what your intuition. Because more than faith, to me, I feel it's an intuition. I feel like it's there. It's very attainable. It can happen. Uh-huh. But you need to balance that out with like doing the work. Yeah. And making it happen today, so that it can become a thing tomorrow. Uh-huh. And just you saying, you know, like those kind of like school projects that become a thing. I feel like this is one of those that can become a thing.
Yeah, me too. And I see those, like, you're piling up like reasons why it makes sense to me to be doing this. And there have been times where I have doubted, you know, like, oh my God, are we going to actually do it? Like, is it actually going to work? And because of those like overwhelming times when I'm like, oh my God, we're not doing this and we're not doing that. And this is a mess.
So your doubts come from sort of that, like, what is it? Like, we're not doing enough yet. We don't know enough.
Yeah, it's like it's like that of I know we're doing our best. Yeah. You know? But I think that my bar for our doing our best is so high.
Is it really?
I guess I do. Like I know that I am demanding with myself. Right?
Right.
I think we both know that.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, okay, we're doing this. How can we do it better? How can we improve it?
Which makes you a great producer.
How are we messing up right now that we need to look at for the next time? Mm-hmm. Which makes me a great producer. So on that same level, like the other side of that scale or whatever is, we should be doing this like every week the same, and like be more constant, and, you know, like have all these things planned out and written down, and I want a calendar with everything, and, you know. So that's like,
you're very much a water person.
So it sometimes drives me crazy when you're super chill about it.
Yes, I am the pie.
And I'm like, Jesus. Ugh.
But it's a good balance, you know? Because, like, you get all freaked out and you call me at night and it's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, wait, like we are doing it. Take it easy, you know. I do believe, and I do want to get to that point of this schedule every week and making it happen. I just think that it's gonna be a process. So I feel like, you know, you want to get there. And I'm like, okay, we will get there. It's like, take it easy. We need to go there little by little. Yeah. So that, you know.
One step at a time, indeed. Yeah. So, I guess I don't doubt the project. You know?
Okay.
I guess it's more been like, and I have talked about it with several people. Mm-hmm. And there's some people that are so excited about it. And they're like, I want to see it. Just show me already. And like, I know, I'm really excited about that. And it lifts my spirits up because I know that they're rooting for us and that they want this to work as much as we do.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that have been like, okay, you know, go do the thing. Just be careful, you know? Or like, realize that you have to work hard. And I'm like, I already know. Thank you. This has been insane. I've been working every day until 4 a.m. So, you know.
That is such a thing, you know, how people may not be aware. Like, you know, my mom has no idea that I'm doing this.
She doesn't?
No, not even a little bit. Not even no pocket, nothing.
I was wondering about that.
No. She's already, before I forget, I feel like I already did. Okay. I'll come back. Like, I remember the thing that I was talking before about my idea going away. It came back. It went away again.
We can circle back.
Yes, well, I'll try. So my mom, she has no idea because, so I work in real estate and she's been so, like, it's not a good year real estate wise, at least here in Mexico. I'm guessing it's like a global thing because the pandemic is a global thing.
Oh yeah.
And this year I started going back to pole classes and I started training on Saturdays, you know, on top of my regular pole classes for a competition coming up. And even that, she's been like, I think you are like, you know, spreading yourself too thin. You should be focusing on work. And I'm like, I've come to sort of think, because the other day we had a conversation where she's like, you know what, maybe I'm the one that's wrong, and maybe your life shouldn't be your work. I was very surprised that she said that.
Yeah, I cannot picture mom saying that.
I was like, wow, look at you. Growing up.
What happened to me? Wow.
And, you know, we didn't take that conversation very far. But I did think to myself, I do believe that that's a maybe a generational thing. Because to me, you know, work is a thing, but like it's there.
Yeah.
But it's not my life. And going to pole and exercise, because the other day she like brought it up again, about how I should be focusing on work and maybe I should drop the Saturday trainings. And I was like, no, because you don't understand. It's like setting up a trap for yourself. Because if I get frustrated at work because sales are not going well, exercising is a way to channel that and it's a way to work with it. Otherwise, if all you can see is like the work, I feel like you're getting wrapped up in that bubble of, you know, frustration and just like, this is my only thing, so it needs to go right. Yeah. Whether if you have separate things, it's like, well, maybe this one's not going great, but it's there. And it's not what I keep telling her whenever she brings it up. I'm like, it's not that I'm not working, but there is so much work that you can do at a time in real estate. Like, you have your clients, you talk to them, and you kind of wait for them to get back to you. So that's, you know, so I have been working, and then doing this, I feel, doing pockets and sort of this creative process, I feel that it's like exercising my soul, you know? It sounds cheesy, but sort of that creativity being alive inside of you. I don't know. I feel like it's... I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I just feel like it sort of gives you life, so to speak.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know, because she would only understand that, that's why she's not focusing on work. That's why she's not doing great at work, because she's doing other stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, once it comes out and I show it to her, I think she's going to see it and appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I understand how people have different reactions to it.
Yeah. But I do get that, for me, the general reaction has been that they really like the idea.
Right.
And I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and she said, but what is it about?
Uh-huh.
And I had my reservations about telling the full idea to my dad. Also because there was this idea in the back of my mind of how when you say something that you're working on or that you want to do, it sort of falls through, And I so don't want that to happen.
I don't know how I feel about that,
There's a part of me that's like, okay, it's not going to happen. You're doing the work. It's going well.
Right. But as a social, I feel like, I don't know if this is a Mexican saying or where it came from. The whole idea that, no, it can't be a Mexican saying, because I'm pretty sure I've read it or know about it in English as well. But the thing about not sharing with people what you're doing,
uh-huh.
I don't know if it comes from it's bad luck or people are gonna get jealous of it.
You're gonna jinx it.
Yeah, something like that. And it makes me sad. It makes me uncomfortable because I feel like, no, I want to tell people about it because it's like a lot of people have been excited about pockets.
Yeah.
And it's that thing that I want to share, that I'm happy about it. Or like my mom. My mom would... I don't think she would understand it yet until she sees it. I think she would just think that it's this sort of side hobby, just talking to people, not really I don't think she would comprehend the work behind it.
Yeah.
And just see it as a, you guys get together and talk kind of thing.
It's like what my dad sort of said, but is it just a hobby?
Yeah.
And then when I started talking to him about, we might actually do it a big thing. And, I'm thinking about, because of the YouTube thing and whatever, just because of the amount of work and the everything, make it an actual, a company.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of shifted the way he was seeing it. And I was just oh yeah, they're wasting their time. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And Maureen's okay, sure, I'll bite. Yeah. And the other thing, though, jinxing it, I thought there's this hesitant part of my mind about it, because I was looking that up one time, and I don't think I should be quoted on this, but I was reading this thing that about when you have a goal and you talk to someone about it, mm-hmm. Your brain sort of shifts the way it thinks about it, and it thinks that you already accomplished it in a way, and so it doesn't work as hard to actually accomplish it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really intrigued by that, because I said, okay, then that means that you should really keep quiet about it until you actually do it.
That's a very interesting thing. I watched a YouTuber that I really like talking about how planning things can be counterproductive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a little bit along the lines of that. It's a sort of your brain perception. And he was saying something like, if you plan it a lot, then it kind of you're putting it down sort of like on paper and it stops being alive in you kind of thing. He didn't say it that way. That's kind of how I process it. But yeah, if you plan it a lot, or even if it's in your head, I guess, if you're thinking about it all the time, thinking about it, rather than doing it, it's sort of, I don't know how, like, it sort of dies there. Because you're not doing it.
Like, and you need to put thought into action.
Yeah, but I think it can be a little bit along the lines of that brain thing where, you know how it's been said that if you think about an activity, it's almost as if you actually did the activity.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you know, if you're thinking about your idea a lot and how it's going to happen and how you're going to do it, your brain might think of it as doing it.
Yeah.
As you did it.
And you didn't do shit.
And then you lose it.
Yeah.
So.
I get it. Yeah. Which is why I've been so stressed out, because we're not doing anything.
But we are.
I know we are.
Like we still are. You know?
I know.
I know what the thing that's been coming and going from my head. I saw this post the other day on Facebook, and it was so cute and a little sad. It was like a cartoon about ideas, and the ideas were like cats. So this person is during the day, is chasing the cats, sort of like, my idea, and like not letting it go away, not wanting it to go away. Yeah. And the cats are just sort of having fun and like running away from him.
Yeah.
Playfully. And at night, he goes to bed and the cats are on top of him. And you see that, and it's like, because I do feel, and I've been experiencing it right now, where ideas, I feel like are such an interesting thing. And because I've been reading Big Magic these past couple of days, and Elizabeth Gilbert talks about how she believes that ideas or thoughts are actual entities. Mm-hmm. You know, which sounds so poetic and amazing and beautiful. And I think it's just great. It's a great visualization, you know, I think. I really like it. But the idea, the cat that's been like playing with me during the past half an hour, is this thought of, you know how, wanting to talk about what happened the other day, where it's like, right now we're kind of a team of 4 people.
Yeah. And
usually you and I are on the same page. And a little bit because the idea of what pockets is something that I have very clear to me. And I feel like you got it since the beginning, sort of.
Yeah.
So the other day we were talking to our team, and they sort of were veering in a different direction from what we were trying to do. So I'm just bringing up this conversation of like what it is like to have a team and try to achieve a certain idea when it's more than yourself.
Yeah, like I see that as a bit of a two-way, what's the word? You know what I mean? No, not a two-way street. No, anyway, you might know what it is. So there's there's a good side of it and there's a bad side of it, right? So the good side of it is like, we have other people that think differently than us, that can have great ideas. And and so I think that can be really helpful when we might be stuck. And so they can say, oh, you know what, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Like, you know, let's explore and let's try something new. And which I think is a really great tool that we should always have. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's like, how do we, as the like leaders of this team, make, like, share our vision, like put our vision across to them so that they are like on the same page? And so I think that has been a challenge that we haven't quite gotten through, maybe.
Like when it comes to pockets, just now when you said like leaders, I don't know that I don't know how I feel about that. Because I understand that, for example, I sort of see the roles we play. And I do believe that you and I are very in charge.
Yeah.
Not sort of by decision, sort of like by
fate.
Behavior,
Yeah.
And attitude and like wanting to make it happen, you know? Because, for example, my boyfriend, who is also in this, is on board, but maybe not as proactive about making it happen. It's more like, what do I need to do?
Yes, exactly.
You know? How can I help you guys? Not quite like, this is also my thing.
Yeah.
And so is our other friend. She's also like, I'm here to help you. So the leader thing, part of me kind of treats a lot of decisions as like, let's talk it out, the four of us, because the four of us are doing this. I don't know. It kind of, yeah, I just don't know. It kind of felt odd just now thinking, that like we are the leaders. Because I don't know if that means, what does that make them?
Our team.
Yeah, like I guess there's nothing wrong about it. But maybe it just puts more pressure and responsibility on us, which is okay. I think we are the ones that want to make this happen, and they're being supportive of us,
Yeah, I think maybe it is that thing that you have to embrace, maybe.
Yeah.
That I think you haven't. I think maybe you have been, I have this sort of feeling of you want us to be a team and you want everybody to like
have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's say that. And then that everybody have a voice endeavor.
Yeah.
You kind of don't show yours.
You think?
I kind of think that. Like,
I feel like when we had the
not
talk,
so
the
much.
four of us, it was very. You could see the room was divided.
Yeah,
and we were trying to explain, because you know what, like when it comes to pockets specifically, not like the podcast or our other projects that we have, but when it comes to pockets specifically, I sort of understand that I have the last word. Especially if it comes to like content-wise or what it is about or what we want to do. If it's more technical and stuff, then that's really your domain, right?
Yeah.
So when we were having this discussion about how was it? How did it go? Like we want
we want to structure content in two different ways.
Yeah. And their argument was more towards like, it's about what the people are going to watch and making it, I guess, I don't know if more digestible for people. It could be a way to say it. And ours, which is the origin of pockets, is not like if people are going to watch it or not, which I hope you do. But it's about looking into the experience of a person in a phenomenon. So it's based on something that made it very clear for me. What I wanted pockets to be was that my thesis from college was a phenomenological thesis. And I got so into it. I was like, this is awesome. And it's really looking at the experience of a certain phenomenon. And I don't know if maybe like for them, it's not that clear what phenomenology is about or how it works or what it is. But for me, it's so clear that when they were sort of trying to steer away from it, not trying to steer away from it, but
maybe unknowingly.
Yeah. Sort of change it into something more digestible.
Yeah. Then
it kind of loses its point. And that's another conversation when you have an idea of a project and someone else is telling you, that is not the best way, and they kind of, which is not necessarily what's happening here, because at the end of the day, we are doing the phenomenology thing. But in maybe other projects, or just as a creative person, which everyone is a creative person, I think that's a difficult moment when you're having a project and someone's giving you an opinion.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's a little bit of what happened next. Because first we had a conversation with the whole team, and later on we had another conversation when it was just me and you and my boyfriend, and we revisited that same issue about the structure of the content. And I do think in that conversation I was more silent, because it felt a little bit like I thought we already
we've been over this.
But I wanna, so it's a little bit like I feel attacked. Not necessarily because the other person is attacking me. I don't think they are. But just, you know, owning my own perception and my feelings. It's like feeling a little bit attacked because someone is trying to change what you want to do and what your vision is. While at the same time trying to be open to constructive criticism and taking the other person into consideration. You know, that's like a toughie. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have so many ideas about it. Because I get I do, for example, I appreciate a lot that the fact of like how you have your thing and I have my thing in pockets. Like, and we both know very clearly what the other person is doing. And like, it's, you know, like you do your thing, I do my thing. And we talk about it and we, you know, make it, I don't know, like it makes sense. And I think for them, because it's more like waiting to see, well, we tell them what we have to do. And it's a good thing that they have ideas and that they are telling you, you know, maybe I don't think this will work. I think this is, you know, but I in the particular case of like, I didn't think much of it in terms of like the theoretical way in which you planned it.
Wait, what?
You know, because you have this idea that's based on your thesis and all that stuff. And for me,
it's a phenomenological series. Yes.
For me, because I didn't have like that theoretical background, I guess, I had it more like, okay, the down-to-earth version of that is we're going to talk to people and we're going to listen to their stories.
Yeah.
I guess that's as simple as I can put it.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to steer away from the original idea to make it more appealing to an audience, to a hypothetical audience that we haven't actually even built, I think that's when, to me, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Because I think that before thinking about what the audience may want, like, who is the audience, you know? Yeah. If we don't know what we're doing first, how do we know who's gonna watch it? And I think that's where we got lost a little bit in a part of that argument. Because they were talking about, like, oh yeah, but nobody's gonna watch it if it's too complicated and, you know? And I was like, I guess then you are not getting what this is about. And that was it. And in the moment I was like, Jesus, what are we doing if they don't know what the heart of it is? You know? And I guess that got me back to is this just a hobby? Is this a waste of time? Like, I guess that they're doing it as a way of being like great friends that help us out in that kind of way, which is a great thing, you know? And I think that the fact that we had that discussion means that they are also invested in it.
Right.
So to me, it's like, okay, they're invested. So that's like level 1. How do we get them to the next level where they actually get like the same mission, vision thing. Right?
Well, I think next episode is going to be interesting because it's a little bit after that second conversation where it was just the three of us. We did it did evolve into a middle ground, I feel.
Yeah.
Where it's a bit, because we did hear what they were saying, right? And it ended up being like, depending on the topic, it can be a more of flexible, detailed experience and several experiences separately rather than just talking about it all together. And that's why I think it's going to be interesting. Because next episode, we're going to try the other approach and see what comes out of it, where it's more, I can understand as an advantage for this second approach, where it might be fresher, rather than the other one. So, I think we'll just wait and see how this one goes. And so far, I am comfortable with the idea of like, depending on the topic, we can go like very deep into what the phenomenon is for each person, or just letting the phenomenon sort of sit with us and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And I remember the second idea that I had. More of a thought. And it's about how I think it's a very important, it's been very important to me as a realization, where if you're trying to do something by yourself, I think it's a lot harder than if you do it with people.
Yeah.
And even right now, because we have several projects, and I feel like Pockets is happening because we're doing it together.
Yeah.
And I think the podcast is happening because we're doing it together. And for example, there's this other project that it's a little bit more like, I need to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not quite getting done yet. I have some hesitations and stuff. But just going back to the beginning of the idea of doing Pockets.
Yeah.
I don't think definitely would not have come this far. It's just such a different experience when you try to do something by yourself. I guess maybe you can feel a little safer or a little more in control. But at the same time, I don't know that you would get as far as if you did it with other people, and the whole sort of diversity thing that we were talking about before, and sharing it, making it happen with someone else and a team is just, I feel, way more enriching rather than trying to do it by yourself. Yeah. I don't know. I've been having, and I am having this experience of sure, I had the idea and it's sort of my vision, but it's been so great, so fulfilling. Even if it's, we don't even have the first episode ready yet.
Yeah.
But it's been so fulfilling and such a magical experience to be doing it.
Yeah.
It's that sort of like, it's the journey, not the destination. And I'm so excited for the destination. So excited. But I think what is great about it's doing it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I get that. And I also feel that thing of like, the journey it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. That makes it exciting.
But yeah, it's been pretty great. And the team thing and the working alone thing, for me, it has been more of I feel like I've always struggled with deadlines if I'm doing stuff just for myself.
Right.
Because I know, like, I can do it whenever. It can happen. Like, I'll do it. And then I never do it. Or I do it, but...
that's something great about it, you know. People hold you accountable.
Exactly.
Because we don't do it ourselves.
Yeah. And... and the making a team effort thing, I don't... Because I struggled a lot with that.
With what?
With the... asking people for help, making it a team effort thing for a while, because I kind of always thought, like, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
right?
the thing.
Until I encountered this group of people that actually make it a wonderful journey of, like, we're all helping each other out. Each of us brings something new into it and different. And it's not just you suffering with it. And also, I think it's a bit egomaniacal, maybe, to think that you can do everything by yourself. I don't think anybody can actually do that. You know?
Or maybe, you know, you can do a little bit. You can, but at some point, you're going to need people around you and a team. Even if you didn't need them. That's what I'm saying, like, about how different of an experience it can be.
It can be awesome.
But you know what? Like, on the good side, it can be this sort of magical, fulfilling experience that we're having. But it's a thing about teams. Because, you know, Pablo, my boyfriend, has this other project that he's doing. And he had such a hard time with his original team. Like, right now, he's... you know, move some people around, have some new people in.
Yeah.
And I think he's having a lot of a better experience. I don't know that he's at a level of, like, where you and I are or where Pockets is.
Yeah.
But definitely a change for the better. Because you can have... I think, you know, from what I can say about his experience, is that he was struggling so much with people being invested in his idea. Because, you know, part of it was it was a school thing, for starters.
Yeah.
It was his idea. But it was the second choice. Mm-hmm. The team had decided on a first idea. I don't know what happened to it, but it fell through. So then they went to him. And it ended up not even being a school thing anymore. Because pandemic and they couldn't do it, so... school decided to go another way. Yeah. And then he decided to keep it going just as a personal thing with the same people. But now I mean, there's no grade at the end of it. So I guess they weren't as motivated, but it was like, it's a cool thing. I should do it. Seems, you know, he's my friend. Yeah. And it ended up dragging for months and months. To the point where he's frustrated. He doesn't know how to motivate these people because I don't think they're in it. They're not invested in the idea since the beginning. And what was happening was that he had people outside of it that were interested. But because of a certain, I don't know what to call it, loyalty to the original team, he wasn't getting the people that wanted to do it. Yeah. And I feel like that was such a big thing that needed to happen earlier.
Yeah, I get that. Because I think that the loyalty thing can be weird. Like, sometimes it can. That's a whole other tea.
We will get to that later.
No, I get the, like, wanting to be loyal to your team thing. Yeah. Right? But when it's not working, it's like a relationship that doesn't work. Like, maybe you are still married. You want it to work. But you want it to work, but, you know, there's just something there that is not there. Yeah. That, so, in that particular case, especially, and it's a hard thing to do, when you have a team that doesn't share your vision and that sort of, like, wants to do it and...
Like, it's cool with the idea. The idea is fine. But once it comes to doing it... Yeah. And... Because it's what we were saying, you know, before we started recording, what you were saying about why am I in this line of work? There's so much to do. So it's one of those things where, yeah, the idea is amazing, but putting in the work is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're not invested in it, it can go wrong so quickly and so easy.
Yeah. Because it is a lot of work. And especially, you know, I was joking with the line of work thing. Because I do love my line of work. But,
Right, but still a lot of work.
But yeah, and it's like what I said, you know, like work until 4 a.m. And it is kind of stressful, but it is also fun and fulfilling. And it reminds me of this, when in school, there's, you know, I was with people that were like, oh yeah, I'm into filmmaking so much and I like it. And I want to make movies.
Uh-huh.
And then they actually had the filmmaking class and they hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Or one of the first projects where you have to actually pick up a camera and maybe write your own script or adapt something. And they're like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is so much work. Yeah. And they don't, because you do need, I think it is one of those things in life, like lines of work maybe, where you need to be really invested into the thing because it is so much work. And I think there are so many memes about how much work it is. Like it's hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
You know, like there's this one that I saw and I think we can put all these things like in the video version for people to see, like the cat thing. It was a meme that was like, oh, I wanted a 9 to 5. I didn't want a 9 to 5 job. Now I work 24 hours a day. And I showed it to my dad and he was like, yeah, but that applies, to everything. Things. Yeah.
I don't know if to.
And I was like, I would argue.
Some.
Yeah. Because yeah, you need to have that disposition to make it work.
Plus working 24 hours, you know, that's a exaggeration, but it's about how much you like it.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think you mind.
Yeah, no.
The hours if you're having,
it can be stressful, but yeah.
But joyful, you know?
And very fulfilling when you actually have it done.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, we have our first episode ready.
I'm going to be so happy with that.
I know. Me too. And yeah, something about that, for example, that overwhelms me a little bit. And I was joking to a friend the other day and I said, the first thing I'm going to do once we start making money is hire an editor because I cannot be doing this.
I did not know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
You wanted. Which is fine.
Yeah, Jesus, please.
I'm okay with that. We can get an editor.
Because, I mean, I do like it, but editing is definitely not my number one favorite thing.
I'm so curious for it. I want to learn how to do it. I don't know if I would love it. But I'm very into, I want to learn.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
You know? And there's I think there's a lot of theory behind it because of how it works. But it is a lot of work.
Right.
It is.
I hear you.
And it kind of reminds me of how people, you know, like as a freelance editor thing, you know, you get all these people like, oh yeah, like how much should I pay you for editing a video?
They have
like,
no idea.
It's nothing, work. Right? Like it's a 5-minute video.
Yeah, like, they don't know what that means.
It doesn't take not because it's a 5-minute video, doesn't mean that it takes 5 minutes to edit, you know?
Yeah.
So, yes, let's hire an editor. And we can go back to the 2 ideas that you had because
Oh, okay. No. We went through the 2 ideas, but I had another idea.
Oh.
Because you mentioned marriage. Why did you say marriage?
I said that, like, being married, but having a marriage that doesn't work, but still being there. Or something
the team thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of, like, took a turn into this whole... I feel like we sort of have an unspoken, because we have talked about it, kind of, analogy of marriage. Not only for our relationship, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the project, because the other day when you and I were talking about being committed to it, you were the one that brought up the idea of like, are we, getting married?
Yeah.
I don't remember if you said like each other, like, are you and I getting married about this, or are you and I getting married to the project?
Okay.
Which, I like the idea of getting married to a project. I guess, I don't know if it's like a polyamorous relationship where the three of us are married. Or you and I are one entity that is married to the project with the other entity.
You're so insane, but okay.
My mind works in such interesting ways.
It does.
But also, this is coming from, again, big magic. Where she doesn't say marriage, but she does say that once she has an idea for a project, she actually makes a contract with the idea, which, what is marriage but a contract?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. I think she says something like at the beginning, she makes a spoken contract. And then once she gets serious about it, like she's going to start working on stuff, she actually makes a contract, something along those lines. And I like this idea. I like taking marriage out of the
equation analogy.
No, not taking it out of the analogy. I want it in the analogy. I want to take the idea of marriage out of the sort of mainstream loving marriage that it is, into this sort of commitment to a project.
Yeah.
Because, for example, since, pretty soon I'm going to be moving, and, it's that thing that not because something presents itself, means that that could have been the end of it,
Yeah.
When I first told you that I was going to move so soon.
Yeah.
Because it's so soon. It would have been a different thing if I'm moving in a year, a couple years. Because this thing would have a certain momentum happening, might have been easier. But because it's so soon in the relationship with the project, I was afraid a little bit to tell you, and having the news sort of bum you out of the project, or just bum you in general, where it's like, we had this idea, we had sort of had this path, and now we're changing it because you're moving and things like that. But I sort of, I'm just laughing at myself,
right?
because I have had such a relationship with commitment.
Oh, yes. Oh, indeed.
So, before, there was a time in my life where I didn't even understand the idea of commitment. It was sort of not compatible with me, That was such a
do
thing.
I?
Yeah. And right now, it feels so close to me. I'm like, it's like I found commitment and he became a friend.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I'm so happy. It's such a good friend.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like a sense of safety, like a.
Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know, because you're committed, it's this thing where, I don't know, I feel like it makes the relationship stronger.
Hang on. Oh, do you want more tea?
Sure.
Oh,
that was a lot of tea.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm so happy in my relationship with commitment now. Because, well, just as a note, I feel like it's commitment my way, not the commitment that I was asked to have, which I couldn't.
Yeah.
But this commitment is like, oh, okay, this is commitment my way. And so that's why I kind of like this idea of being married to it. Because I feel like if you're married to it, if you're committed to it, then you're going to do your best to make it work. Rather than, oh, you know, the pothole or like a bump, whichever thing comes your way, an obstacle, then it's not as easily threatened. Or it might be threatened, but still you're going to do your best to
pull
make
through.
it happen. Exactly.
I think you're insane, but yeah. Because for me, the marriage thing seemed like an analogy to, and I think it was funny because I just saw the same thing on TV yesterday. Like I was watching some show and they said this thing of like, what was it? So when you're married, I think it said something like, when you have a business enterprise of some kind is like the same as being married, but without the romance or whatever. I don't know what they said, but so to me it was like in a way of like how Elizabeth Gilbert says it in Big Magic, like when you have some creative endeavor and you produce something like a book or a movie or a play or whatever, and then you have that be your baby, and she's like, don't make it your baby, you know, it is a thing of its own, and if you say that it's your baby, you know, it creates like a weird attachment thing where if it doesn't work out, and it like snowballs into disaster basically, or something like that. You know, but then I thought of the marriage thing, and I was like, okay, if we get married and the pockets thing and then everything else that has been stemming from it is our baby, you know, that's sort of like how I sort of saw it.
Well, it could be like you're married to sort of the journey part of it, and then the, you know, the destination, it's the baby. But I was just thinking of, in school, because I studied psychology, there was this class, don't remember what class it was, but I remember we were talking about sort of the artists, how, like what's it called? Sort of agony that the artist experience once they put their work in the world. Yeah. You know, because that is such a psychological process. And it's the thing that Elizabeth Gilbert is talking about when it's like, my baby. So, because when you are creating something, you're putting yourself into it. The same way that part of you is in your baby. Yeah. Loving this analogy, by the way. So, it's this whole thing of you becoming vulnerable. Yeah. And that's something that, you know, I guess people in general, I know I have struggled with when it comes to an artistic endeavor, a creative endeavor. Yeah. Because you're afraid of what people are going to say. Because it's not the work. Yeah. It's you in the work that you are afraid of what people are going to, you know, look at. They're going to see into your mind or like into your heart. Soul. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But the same way that Elizabeth Gilbert is saying it, like it's not your baby. There has to come a moment for the artist. This is what we were reading. I don't remember what book it was, but it was pretty cool. And I remember the artist that we did it on was Tim Burton. And how we were looking at how he puts his story and his life and, you know, the way he sees the world into his art. And that's what, you know, artists do. But I think Elizabeth Gilbert really, nails it when it's like, it's not your baby. It can be your baby. But the same way that your kid leaves and goes into the world and you have to let them go, same thing with this, you know? Once you do it, once it's out there, you have to let it go. And whatever people do with it, that's up to the people. That's why you're putting it out there. Otherwise, you could just write and do whatever you want and keep it, you know, in your house. And keep it in the attic, whatever. But you're putting it out there for people to share with people. To maybe, you have this idea that it might help someone. Yeah. Or, you can have several reasons why you're putting your art out there. But once you do, it's up to the people to do with it what they want. You have the experience of the journey and the fulfillment of arriving at the destination. But once you're there, has to be for them. Yeah. And that's something that I talked to Pablo about after we had our latest discussion. Because I was like, why are you so concerned with making it for people with and we arrived to this conclusion that he was very concerned with how people are going to take it, if they're going to like it, if like and what I said to him was like, let me worry about that. Yeah. It's my baby. You don't have to have that on you. Yeah. And I ended up telling him, first of all, like, let me worry about that. It's not on you to worry about. But second of all, if it crashes, if it bumps, it's okay. Yeah. Because I'm already getting so much out of it. And not just from the actual conversations that I'm having with people, which was sort of like why I wanted to do it a little bit. It's one of the reasons that I wanted to do it. Because I wanted to have these conversations with people and see like what they could tell me about their experience, what we can get from each other about our experiences. So it's that I'm getting a lot of that. I'm getting so much from this sort of creative project working together and all that we've been talking about for the past hour. So it's okay. I do have a hope. I would love it if it can help someone out there the way that other shows have helped me and how they have been my inspiration for doing pockets. It'd be awesome. I would be so happy. But if no one in the world likes it or no one in the world sees it, then, it is what it is. I put it out there. That's my half of the that's my part of it. Yeah. And what happens on the other side of that, what it's like the audience's part of it, it's up to them. Yeah. And he sort of like rested after that.
And I think, along with that, as a final thought to round it up, I guess it's also, and I think we might be both on the same page that it's okay that we fail because I think we will keep trying to do other stuff. Yeah. So maybe Pockets doesn't work. Maybe there's something else that comes after Pockets. Yeah. That does work.
That is something I told him, if when it comes to wanting to do something, the first thing might not work out. The second thing, the fifth thing might not work out. Yeah. And it's going to be the 11th or the 12th that sort of like gets it.
But hey, the 12th is going to be freaking amazing.
Exactly. Because you already have 11 things before that and you learn so much from them. Exactly. So, yes.
Awesome.
I am very happy about it.
Me too.
I think it's safe to say.
Safe to save.
Yeah, safe to save. Save it. I think it's safe to say that we would recommend Big Magic.
It is.
To everyone listening / watching this. Yes. Because it is amazing. And we love it so much.
I thought it was... I thought it was here, but it's not.
It's Pre-Love is here.
Yeah. Well, Big Magic, we're going to put it here.
Yeah, so you can see it.
So you can read it. Pretty. It's really cool. Yeah. Thank you for being with us for this cup of tea.
Yeah.
And we'll see you / talk to you.
One.
Yeah. Next week.